Previously on Unpacked.
Then the following day I took the bus, then I left. It always ended with one thing, having sex. I would still have to find another man that I was going to sleep with for a roof to sleep under. So that's when I started making advances, you gotta give me money. That's when it hit me that this is unsafe.
Mmathabo Mooa became a prostitute at the age of 15 after running away from home and living on the streets. This is part 2 of her story. Let's unpack.
So she comes back because she has fish. We eat the fish. And she made plans for the day alewani because I was not included in those. But then 2 guys came in and then one introduced that this is who and who. You're going to live with Mamang and then you're going to go to get food. Then the guy agrees and I went out for some time.
When you say guy again, do you mean a man?
An old person. This one is particularly an old person. On the road there, the guy was making moves, and he was old. That one was old. I call him Scarface. He had this huge scar, and he was scary. I think that being at that place sort of exposed me to the real game of being away from home, the real people who are actually fond of this kind of things, prostitution, alcohol, and who are deep in it. So this Scarface guy was telling me that I want to have sex with you. We can stop here, and it's in the middle of the road. Then we can have sex. You cannot deny me sex. I'm like, no, wait. We can't do that. How about we just go and buy food, then come back? Then he agreed. Then we left to get the food. We get the food. When we come back, he continues. Then he starts getting aggressive. He tells me to stop eating his food because I'm not giving him what he wants.
Because he paid for the food.
Yes. And I think I was used to some ill treatment, but then that one I couldn't stand. I got very angry. And when we got to Ntabi's place, I told her that this guy is not good and I don't want to see him. Leave me alone. I need to be alone. Then I wept, and unfortunately, things were fast there. So she couldn't give me comfort or anything. She had to go do her own things. And things continued, and it was her bringing guys, different guys, some for sex, some just to talk with, some for chilling. And one day she said, let's go visit my place. So her place was not far.
As in like Rai?
Before she decided to come and stay.
And that was to see who? That was to go and see who?
To see her mom and her children.
Okay.
So I agreed. And because it was not far, she said that we could walk there, but then it was hot. So she said, nah, let's wait. Maybe a car will come, then we can get there quicker. I was like, okay.
As in like hitchhiking, asking for a lift?
Hitchhiking, yeah.
Yes.
And we stand there, and then eventually a van comes, and then we get into it. We travel to her home. Unfortunately, I was at the back. No, I was at the front, and then she was in the middle. But it seems like she knew the person who was driving us because they made conversations and their own things. We got to her place. Unfortunately, it was a weekday. So her kids were still at school. It was only her mom. So she goes into a room, and her mom asks her why she isn't greeting her. Or why I see the plastic, because her kids don't have anything. Then she said something along the lines of, and then we went to a room. She showed me some pictures of her. And I saw this beautiful woman. And then I compared her to what I was seeing, the picture and what I was seeing. And I asked myself, what happened? And she was like, things happen. I'm really sick. I'm very, very sick. I was like, no, you changed. She had curves and she was full, and I was shook. And she also said, I'm also looking for shirts. I need to get new clothes. These other ones don't even fit anymore. But then I'm going to make a plan. Then she changed her clothes. She wore pants, maybe twice her size. And she tried to put in a loop thing. And it was not working out. And she stressed me out. Because how do you go from this to this? And now you look like this. What happened? What really happened? What's her story? I got curious. And then she went back to her mom. I think an argument broke. And then, because bank email. And she said, no, let's go. Then we left. It was such an awkward short visit. A lot of things, a lot of questions rose up from that little intervention with the mom. And so we leave, we go look for a bakery, bought bread, then we walked back to a place. And a few days passed. Things took a turn for me because the police came for me. I don't know who told them that I was there, but the police came for me.
So when they got there, what did they say to you?
It was a normal day. I was doing laundry, and they just poofed out of nowhere. They said, get dressed. We are taking you home. What exactly are you doing here? Then the lady that I was staying with tried to reason with them. No, what are you doing? This is my aunt's child. And I think she was known. Then they pushed me by the back of a van. Then they drove to my place. And I get there, my mom was not well. You know, she had lost weight, gotten darker, and she had a lot of unhappiness on her face. And
well, her child's been missing for months and months. Do you think a year had gone by that point?
Not a year. Not a year, but it was long. And I had nothing to say, and she had nothing to say. All that she said was, Mmathabo, why? And also I didn't know why. I mean, I still had no way to reason with her with this kind of thing. So I just kept quiet, you know, but I felt so horrible. I mean, I put her, like, I could not imagine. My mom was a leader in the community. And now she's not even able to put those leadership skills within me to be a better person. So she's failing in her home. How is she going to be leading in the streets? And
where was your father when you got home?
My father was not home. I think he was back this side then. Yeah, because it was only my mom. And the guilt, I felt so guilty. Like, how do I do this? You know, I could not stand how sad she was, and I told myself that this time I'm going to leave and I'm never coming back.
Wow, so you feeling bad was not let me be at home and be the child.
No.
Why was it the decision that you're going to leave and never come back? Because you couldn't stand to look at her?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And maybe just to remove the burden. That's what I thought.
And then just to be clear, that time when you left home, what grade were you in?
I had quit school. I was in grade 9.
Okay, so you left in grade 9.
Yeah,
all right.
I left in grade 9. And then she made food. And Adiwe on like she usually does. And then didn't say anything to me. That's my mom. She's not too vocal. And I didn't eat, I think. But then I stayed in bed trying to plan how I'm going to execute my runaway for good. I couldn't sleep. You know, I had to leave. And the following day, I was going to make sure that I'm bouncing. Morning comes. My mom goes to work. She worked at a nursery, so she left in the morning. It was nearby. She left in the morning, and now I took a huge bag. There was this big bag, garai. Then I put all my clothes in there. And then I left, get to the main road to hitchhike. And hey, you know, I stood there for like maybe an hour because it was during the week and there wasn't about 12 hours traveling. So as I was waiting there, I see my mom approaching. You know, Perikiba, you know, the wraparound. It was flying. I get the mat like a ceiling. She was cheering. And I think she had questions, but there was no time because
she could see her what's happening.
And now we have to go back. And
so she actually got to you?
Yeah.
And what did she say to you?
She looked at me and like, Mmathabo, what's what the Michelle? I couldn't respond, so it stopped there. And it didn't start there. The bag that I was carrying was heavy. And the thing was that it had wheels, but then because it's gravel,
you can't pull.
I can't pull it. But then I pulled it. While I was pulling it. So now to pull it, like a would be a problem. So she's like, "Ikuk." She's like to me, "Ikuk." I'm like, I can't carry it. Liana, she tried to ikuk. It was heavy. And I thought, if this bag is so heavy, how did I manage with it? Because now I'm trying to do what I did, but then I can't. My mom left me where I was, then because one element is a house, a wheelbarrow. And she put the bag in the wheelbarrow, then she pushed it. The shame, that was the longest walk ever because someone called her and told her that I was leaving.
Why is it so emotional for you to remember this moment in particular?
Because it's both funny, I'm realizing now, and sad at the same time. And it's something else that someone was actually looking out for me, but I didn't know it. You know, someone actually called my mom. So they cared enough to do that. And Liana, she came flying all the way from the school to the main road. I'm sure she was running like crazy. When I imagine it, it's the effort. It's just, it's a beautiful thing. You know, she was mad, she was all sorts of things, but then she wasn't like insane. You know, even the neighbors didn't look and laugh. But they actually stepped in. So maybe the whole community was at work to keep me home, and I didn't know it. But I'm grateful. Back then I was pissed, but now it's a beautiful thing. So that's what mixes me up.
And I think it's good that you can look at that moment because you know your 15-year-old self versus your grown self and how you look at that situation in hindsight. Because you may have reached a point where you thought it's easier to leave because no one cares anyways. But literally everybody cared.
True.
Everybody cared.
True.
So now she took you back home. And what happened from there?
And I thought that was the biggest turning point for me, you know, from the police to trying to leave again, to coming back home, and then to my aunt offering to take me in and help me. That's when everyone else was trying, but I think I thought they were not trying hard enough because no one was asking me, what's wrong with you? Why are you doing all these kind of things? You know? I think they assumed maybe it was insanity or I don't know what, but because they never cared to ask. So my aunt steps in, and this time I thought, yeah, I'm really going to change.
And where was she taking you to?
Because I was in Limpopo then, I was to come to Johannesburg. So my mom says, okay. Because she's a church person, she's very big on church. My aunt is very big on church. And also I got along with her. She's one person who I was able to be open with. But about these particular things, I couldn't be open about it. So I stay with her. The new year starts. And then we enroll at the school. I'm going to go do grade 9. And then now we start with my therapy, I think. It was church, praying, and things like that. She believed in that. And I think then she was wasting her time because I was not in 100%. And one, I didn't even believe in God. What's God? I mean, where was he when I got raped? Where was he when I was in the streets? All those dangerous situations I've been in the streets, where was he? So why now? But then I couldn't say that to her face. So I played along. And again, I wasn't speaking. So there was still trauma there that's undealt with. And I was not speaking. So I still rebelled. Like now I was going to turn 16. Any person that's 16 is going to be doing other things. And I was doing exactly that, you know. I think with time, she got tired of me. And
because you were still...
I was still
out and about. Yeah.
And she told my dad that I can't live with your child anymore. I think you need to take her. And my dad took me in, and I stayed with him. And this is my enemy. Now I'm living with the man that I once tried to kill, and now he's here, and now I have to live with him. So my father, I think, was worked up. He was the one who was curious about, girl, where were you? What were you doing? What are the things? He had all those questions, but I think maybe communication killed him, or he just didn't know how to ask me without pissing me off first. Because of the tone, how he asked, and his intentions, because it was when we are not getting along that he would bring all those things up. But I think I wish that he had maybe been kinder to ask me in a tone that would be friendly to me. I would have spoken to him because he showed concern.
Yes.
And I had a thing for people who showed me concern then. So I could have told him, but it didn't get anywhere. 2 years passed, we're still quarreling, you know. But then we have outbursts, and then I would cry, go to my room. Later, we are okay again. The following day, same thing happened. So it was like that. It was a very toxic because of not speaking about things that needs to be addressed. So fast forward to 18. I think I was in grade 11. I went out and I met with some people from my street, and we ended up having alcohol. We got drunk, we went to book somewhere, we slept there. It was 5 of us, 2 women, and it was 4 of us, 2 women and 2 guys. And we got involved in an orgy, and we shacked almost the whole night until morning, without condoms and things like that, without no worries of STIs, without a care in the world. We just shacked. And we swapped each other around.
Were the boys also in your age group?
I think maybe they were in their early 20s, I think.
So they were also grown men?
Because I'm not sure. They're not that old. But they were older than me because they're not my age. Yeah, but they were not grandpas. So it went on until the morning, and then we go back home. Life goes on. I'm still in school, and everything seemed okay. And I found out that I was pregnant. And now that was something else. I thought I would do an abortion, but where do I start? Who do I talk to? Where are abortions done? you read about it, it sounds like it's something hectic, it sounds scary. And I think the only things I was exposed to, because were these ones that you see, Apollo lights, get abortion for this Dr. Ban. And it just felt scary. So I couldn't go through with abortions and stuff like that. Then I told a friend that, I'm pregnant. It's like, who's the father? So I don't know who the father is. I'm not sure who the father is. She's like, Mmathabo, your story is hectic. So you're keeping the baby, right? It's like, yeah, I will. And months passed, my father didn't pick anything up because I still looked the same. And 7 months in the pregnancy, I had a boyfriend who was on and off, who also was in question now because there's the OG 2 guys and then there's 1 guy. And I'm not sure who that, I really didn't know. I still don't know to today. So 7 months come and I've been trying to keep contact with the guy to tell him the boyfriend that I think I'm pregnant. Then he ignored me until that fateful day. He said, no, come through. Let's talk about it. My father was not home. He had gone to Limpopo, so I was home alone. So I go to his place, and he seemed like he was in terms with my pregnancy. Everything was okay. Now, in the middle of the night, while we were sleeping, I get these funky pains, back pains. And I tell him, I think I have pains. I don't know what's wrong. Then he's like, now you'll be fine, drink water. I drank water, then I go back and try to sleep. But then the pain now is getting strong. I didn't even know what labor pains were back then. And they just felt like back pains. But it got worse. Then he's like, no, you're going to be fine. King, I have pain blocks. No, I don't want pain blocks. I know, eat an apple. We did the wrong guys. I eat an apple, then immediately after that, my water broke. And I didn't even know what that meant. I didn't even know what it was called.
So did you go to the hospital?
After some time. So my water breaks, and then the guy doesn't have a car. So now he must go wake his neighbor up to take me to the hospital. So he leaves and then knocks at that guy's door and asks him to take me to the hospital. Then the guy wakes up, he comes back and calls me. This guy had a prosthetic leg. So as I was on the bed, he's like trying to carry me. I mean, stop taking risks. I think that's why I tried to maybe lighten up my mood because I was in pains. I know you can't carry me. Then we went to the car, Raya Tembisa Hospital. We get into the labor ward, and then I give birth, and the baby was confirmed to be a stillborn. And unfortunately, he passed on. So the first thing I did was to call my friend because she was the only one who knew about the pregnancy and the one who I knew would know what to do. I call her and I tell her that I gave birth, but the baby is normal. And I'm like, don't tell anyone. But I had to tell someone because I asked the nurse if the baby, this baby weighs this much. So if the baby weighs this much, you're supposed to bury them. The hospital doesn't do that for you. Then shit hit the fan there. Because now no one at home knew. My father is not home, and I had no intentions of telling anyone. What on earth am I going to do? Because there's no way that I'm going to bury a child alone. And Dora was her name Dora. She called my uncle, Mmathabo is in hospital. And she gave birth, and the baby passed on. And my uncle called my dad in Limpopo, this and that happened. My dad, he was not driving, he's not driving. So he caught a taxi the following day in the morning. And after my uncle arrived, he also arrived. And that's when I realized that our love languages are very different. Because on a regular, my dad would never leave Limpopo for outing just like that, especially if he was off at work. And he's here. And he's causing drama, asking who the guy is that I came with to the hospital. because now you impregnated my child. He showed me so much love in a weird way. I realized, oh, this man really does care, and he arranged every single thing from me traveling to Limpopo to what's going to be eaten, things like that, every single thing. So we go to Limpopo and we bury the child. That was the craziest thing ever. And I was like, so life is this messed up. A child is born today, then you're burying them. And that was insane. So the child is buried and I have to come back to Gauteng. And I come back, everything was cool and sad because can you imagine not having the child here, but there's skin.
Milk still coming out, yeah. Your body is acting like, because the baby's been born, your body's doing everything,
Yeah. And hey, being in pains as well, physically, you can't do certain things. And hey, then my aunt came, the one who said, I can stay with your child in. She came, and rabbi and things like that, get better, blah, blah. And I felt like, no, people really have love. People do care. But I think when you're caught up in your own things, you don't even see it. And I need to change. I need to get my together, because I wasn't being fair to anyone. I mean, who keeps a pregnancy a private thing until the baby dies? Even after the baby dies, I was still not willing to bring in anyone to the situation.
And so at this point, you haven't turned 18 yet?
I think I was 18.
You turned 18?
Yeah, I think so.
I mean, at some point, you do decide to get your life together. So what was it that you decided to do to get your life together? I wanted to speak out about what happened from when I was 7 until the time that I was in. So who did you tell?
No one as yet. I started to write about it, because I could not talk to anyone without feeling like they don't understand, because if I tell you something, I expect support from you or some sympathy or just relate in some way. So when you're testing the water, are they going to understand that you get disappointed? So I thought, because people don't understand, people don't get it, I will never get my healing if I depend on how people are going to react on when I tell my story. So I started to write about it. The little details, things that I feel like disturbed me, I wrote about them. And after some time, I was comfortable to tell my aunt, this happened. When I was 7, so-and-so raped me. And again at 9, so-and-so raped me. Then there was disbelief. Man, he's such a good guy. He can't do that to you. It can't be him. Are you sure? No, those kind of nasty questions.
So she didn't believe you?
No, they didn't believe me. They didn't believe me until I actually went public about it, that so-and-so raped me. And it became a thing that raised feuds in the family, because the family was his family was defending him while he knew what he did, because he actually called me and he asked why I had to take it to social media. And I said, where should I go? Because I'm hurt. And I think that's
So he even has access to you?
He got access to me. I'm not sure who gave him my number, but he got me. So
did your father believe you?
He believed me because he was like, "Whatever deserves too," But unfortunately, he can't go around shooting people, and there's nothing he can do.
Did you ever decide to open cases against them?
I thought maybe let me work on myself first, and then I can do it when I feel strong. Yeah.
So where are the 2 men now?
One is still there. The other one, I saw him actually in October last year at my aunt's wedding. He's still alive and he's well. And I was pissed that he has the balls to come to the wedding.
But are you pissed at him or pissed at the family, knowing what you've told them?
I'm pissed at him. What's he doing in my grandmother's yard while he knows what he did?
Did you confront him?
I felt like it, but then I thought maybe it's just too much drama for a wedding.
So in terms of, as it stands today, is the family in conflict about what you are saying happened?
I don't think so, because now I'm this side, and Bonaba Limpopo, I don't know what's going on between Bona and I don't really care. So I don't have the details on Abaswarana, but all I know is that now the guy, because before I spoke, now with the Tripije the Katile, he doesn't do that anymore.
What did your mom say?
Mama is not, like I said, she's not vocal, but she was king. You know, and I'm sure she wept when she got to be alone. Yeah.
So where are you today?
Oh, my God. I think now I'm at a much better place. And since my speaking, I think I'm a lot free. And I think time does heal if you choose to heal, if you choose to move on, if you choose not to bring the past in the present. So I went back to school. I graduated in transport and logistics. I published a book. What other choice did I have? I have a baby girl who I love so much. And society kind of writes you off if being a prostitute, that your life can never be.
The difficulty is you were not a consenting adult. That's the bottom line. So it's even difficult for me to look at you and say you were a prostitute at 15 because you were a rape victim as well at 15 with grown adults. You were taking money, but that does not justify the behavior that according to our law, you were not a consenting adult.
True.
So you didn't have the capacity to choose to be a prostitute. So can we really say you were a prostitute? You know, so I'm struggling to consolidate that one, but I know from your experience, you're a child who was making choices for themselves. But psychologists will tell you did not have the mental capacity to be making those decisions for yourself. Do you think, and we will never know for sure, that if you weren't raped, your life would have looked completely different?
I think so. I think it might have been different, but maybe it wouldn't have been that much different. So, yeah, it could have been, it might have not been.
The lady that took you in that mining area, have you been in touch with her since the police took you?
I saw her once and I broke down. I broke down, but then she looked to be okay. Now she had gained weight. I broke down and that was it from a distance, and I couldn't even go to her or talk to her.
Why did you break down?
I don't know, I just had a memory because I think it was still new back then when I saw her again. So it just gave me a rush, you've been there, you know, this has happened in your life.
And how do you feel knowing everything that you've been through, having been raped as a child, going out and, you know, basically having sex with men to keep a roof over your head? How do you look at that now with who you are today?
It's not worth it. It's not worth it, and silence really doesn't help. And having shame doesn't help. You just end up ruining things for yourself just because you're keeping quiet about things that you have no control over. So whatever that led me to that road, if I could go back now, would just tell me, speak out, without having to go through all these things, trying to deal with what you're not even speaking about. And the worst things are inside of me, you know. But then they went with it because I wasn't telling anyone, and I wasn't even giving signs that this and that happened. Yeah, so I don't want to be there. I wouldn't want anyone to go back there. If you can speak, speak. If you cannot speak, find ways that will help you to open up yourself. Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming to talk to us and share your story. I know it's still emotional for you, and your family, you know, is going to have access to possibly things you may not have shared with them in person. And I hope that they're open to receiving what is your journey and your truth, and also just for your healing journey to continue. And hopefully one day you have the strength to open cases against these men that you know where they are, you know who they are.
I know their addresses.
And you do need strength to open a case because it becomes a whole new battle altogether. Thank you so much for coming through.
Thank you for having me.
Hashtag Unpacked with Relebogile. I really leave this episode still unclear if I can say a 15-year-old prostitute when a 15-year-old does not have capacity to consent to sex. So what does that make one? Maybe you can share with us what your thoughts are on that. The socials are on your screen. Let us know. Thank you so much for watching. Have a good night. Next time on Unpacked.
Your son, Skobo, ukumane a car accident, ka hit and run. It's an amamukotini. To date, because somebody can or maybe na career just to rap with Rudia hygiene as an humane to date.
Thank you so much for watching Unpacked with Relebogile Mabotja. Make sure you subscribe to my channel where you can get to watch more episodes. But more importantly, you can be part of our online community. Comment down below, share with us who you'd like to see on the show, or what story you'd like us to discuss. We love engaging with you. Keep it coming and don't forget to subscribe.